Hello, this is Baghdad calling. If you are joining us for the first time, my name is Ahmed Albasheer. This is my second episode that I'm making in English. I heard there's a lot of money in it, so I wanted to give it a shot. And by the way, why I'm wearing like that? Because I'm the first Iraqi democratic dictator president of Albasheer Republic, which is I created. Why do I wear these gloves? Because it's awesome. So I'm president, I get to do whatever I want to do. Now I want to remove the gloves. Anyways, I am the host of Albasheer Show, an Arabic language satirical news program covering Middle East politics with focus on Iraqi affairs. The first episode that we made introduced you to the current state of the Iraqocracy, which has definitely not yet reached the point of democracy. See? Just couldn't reach that point. Poor Iraq. Protesters have been demonstrating in the streets of major Iraqi cities for a month, demanding an end to corruption, free elections, and fair electoral committee. These are all basic democratic things. How did the government respond? So far, 300 Iraqis have been killed and more than 12,000 have been injured by Iraqi security forces. But how did we get here? The answer to that question is one key word: Muhasasa. Muhasasa. It's time for an Arabic lesson. Don't be afraid. Repeat after me. Muhasasa. 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 It's easy. There is no English equivalent for this word, so it's important that you can learn it in Arabic. Don't worry, learning Arabic is easy. We have several good words in common. Air in Arabic is in English, what you breathe, you call that air. In Arabic, what you suck, you call that air. What you breathe in English, you cannot breathe in Arabic. You would choke. So speaking of Muhasasa, Muhasasa is the air inside the Iraqi system. Muhasasa is one of the main sources of trouble in Iraq right now. In fact, I will make us a hashtag that will be useful to us throughout this episode. Thanks Muhasasa, because there is so much to be thankful for. Corruption that exists throughout the entire government, thanks Muhasasa. Extreme political polarization, thanks Muhasasa. Politicians stealing all of Iraq's wealth while most citizens live in poverty, thanks Muhasasa. Ministers only responding to the needs of a few rather than general public interests, thanks Muhasasa. Somehow making the most opinionated people on earth lose all hope in the political system and resort to playing PUBG in their rooms and sliding into models' DMs on Instagram instead of seeing political activity as a real possibility. Thanks, Muhasasa. Muhasasa is a sect and ethnicity-based system for sharing government positions. Muhasasa has been in place in Iraq since 2003. All of Iraq's money and resources are tied to those government positions. So political parties would try to use their own sectarian identities in order to get more votes and win the elections. They would fight for the interests of their own sect and no one else. This served to worsen sectarian division in society. Extreme ideologues became the elites, the Boris Johnsons and Steve Bannons of Iraq. We will introduce you to every single one of them later. Don't worry. You will get to know them. They're extremely amazing people. Each of those politicians could control access to government employment, the number one employer in the Iraqi job market, by guaranteeing jobs only to those loyal to them. These actions created a cycle that kept Iraq's wealth in the pockets of those who only cared about their sect. It's like the end of Game of Thrones when they're all sitting around and dividing up the 7 kingdoms. You're in charge of the north. You're in charge of the wall. And Bran, you're king now. You're 17 years old with no experience, but we're choosing you because you look like you're the least capable of hurting the rest of us. Actually, that's exactly how our current prime minister in Iraq was chosen. Before you ask. That's actually our prime minister, Adel Abdel Mahdi. No, he's not just an Iraqi Danny DeVito. No. The Muhasasa system was supposed to bring democracy to Iraq, but the process that brought the Muhasasa system to us was anything but democratic, and certainly not Iraqi-led. So how could you expect a democratic end result that would also suit Iraq's needs? At this point of the story, let's go back to a year that really didn't age well. 2003, a time when people wore fedoras and cargo shorts, listening to R. Kelly. They released a third Matrix movie 6 months after the second one came out in the same year. Britney Spears hijacked an airplane for Toxic. And this guy was considered one of the hottest guys in Iraq. And this guy was put in charge of an entire country. This is Paul Bremer. Now, you might think this is the face of your dad when you tell him that you're dropping out of college to go to Thailand to find yourself. But actually, this is Paul Bremer realizing the deep that he got himself into. Yes, Paul Bremer was the US ambassador to Iraq during the invasion, and this man was put in charge of the Coalition Provincial Authorities known as the CPA. CPA, COIN, ICP, CIA, IRD, TMI, BRB, LOL, BTS. These are just some of the acronyms we Iraqis have been subjected to. Please make it stop. Anyway, the CPA was a transitional government for Iraq, established after March 2003. They were going to control Iraq until Iraqis were ready to fully take over.
As recognized in the UN Security Council Resolution 1546, the Coalition Provisional Authority will cease to exist on June 28th, at which point the occupation will end and the Iraqi interim government will assume and exercise full sovereign authority on behalf of the Iraqi people. Sincerely, L. Paul Bremer, ex-administrator of the Coalition Provisional Authority.
Yeah, right? Sovereignty, my ass. Bremer just didn't truly understand Iraq. He saw Iraq as nothing more than a combination of sects and ethnicities that have been enemies since the beginning of time. All he cared about was sex. My English is not good, I'm sorry. I can't say sex. I have to say it's sex. So when Paul Bremer established the Governing Council, a group of around 25 Iraqis that would guide the CPA, he chose them only based off of their sect or ethnicity and weight. Never mind their thoughts on anything else, whether they were violent or pacifists, whether they were a capitalist or a communist, whether they liked DC or Marvel, paper or plastic, Pepsi or Coke, whether they breathe air or choke on it. Suddenly none of that matters, and you are only there on the basis of one single part of your identity, Shia or Sunni, Muslim or Christian, Arab or Kurd. And if you are chosen, you have to represent the interest of all the Shia or all the Sunnis, even if everyone secretly hates you and thinks you are a total deep. To create this new Muhasasa system, Paul Bremer was working with Iraqi exiles who hadn't been in Iraq for decades. And what's more, the process of creating the new constitution was so secretive that Iraqis weren't even told about it. The text was written in English and translated into Arabic only months after the process had begun. I mean, it's a constitution. You're not sexting your girlfriend. What is there to hide? Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Come on! And so then, the first constitution in 2005 was finalized by people that nobody elected through secret negotiations. That constitution also made the Muhasasa system officially official. The committee contained only a handful of women and no youth representatives. It's like they asked, who knows how to send an email? Okay, you do. Get the out. Here's an example of one of the officials we were stuck with due to the Muhasasa system. Baqir Jabr al Zubeidi, who studied engineering, such a handsome guy, was the Minister of Interior during the transitional government, Minister of Housing and Reconstruction for the Governing Council, and Minister of Finance in the Third National Government. Pretty good CV, right? Amazing. He's like Samuel L. Jackson, really, in just every single movie he shows up like, see? Oh. Stop it, make it stop! But you know, when Baqir was asked about why he was qualified to be the Minister of the Interior, or to take any of these positions for that matter, do you know what he said?
جابك على الأمن، عناوينك كلها ما تقرأ أمن، مهندس، رجل أعمال، اشتغلت بالإعلام.
نعم، اشتغلت بالإعلام وسياسي. لكن الأمن كان في الظل. من طفولتي كنت أتابع أرسي لوبين، كنت أتابع مونتي كريستو وإلى آخره من المسلسلات. كان عندي شغف في الاطلاع على هذه الملفات.
Yes, that's right. He got his expertise in statecraft and security from watching The Count of Monte Cristo as a child. Yes. So don't worry, everyone. Tonight I'm going to go home and watch Frozen. And I'll learn what I have to learn. And then tomorrow I'll enact some policies that can solve climate change. Don't worry, I've got it from here, guys. Greta, that's okay. I'm very qualified now. Go home. just go home. But essentially, none of these people empowered by the Muhasasa system had the experience that could make them effective policymakers, not a single one. And yet they had to rebuild an entire state from the ground up. Muhasasa? No thanks. That's enough. Muhasasa needs to be destroyed altogether for the sake of Iraq's future and the next generation of Iraqis. And one day, we'll have a normal democracy like everyone else, where politicians never take money from interest groups and are instead totally responsive to the people who elected them. As I said at the start, Iraqis are on the streets demanding the democracy that they've dreamed of. But they can't do this alone. Again, just last month, more than 300 people were killed and more than 12,000 were injured by the Iraqi government security forces and Iranian government-backed militia members. And these are my people. If Iraqis aren't able to get a better political system, two things will happen for sure. One, we'll see Iraq being used as another bargaining chip as the US faces off against Iran. Iraq's own interests will not matter, as usual. We're just an arena for foreign powers, and we'll be definitely talking about that in our next episodes. Two, thousands of Iraqi people are searching for freedom, and they will be looking for it everywhere they can find it. If they can't find it in Iraq, they're going to try and look for it elsewhere. And so next, they'll be knocking on your door. Thank you for watching. Take care. Or if you are a member of the current Iraqi government, maybe take some air.